All right, good morning, everybody. Anyway, Micah here. Appreciate you taking the time to hear the things that I got to say. But this morning, I just want to talk to you a little bit about, Facebook's policies, which I'm sure many of you are already aware of. They're probably have experienced a lot of their blocking, actions. And essentially, what happens is you probably posted something somewhere or made a comment, and they put a block on you on your account, probably saying that you can't post anything on Facebook, possibly anywhere, right? You can't even like a post. You can't like or comment. You can't really do anything at all, essentially, other than just read stuff. So, it's a pretty sad scenario, I think, but at the same time, it's kind of like a lot of people are discussing this, a lot of libertarian, conservative people might be looking at this, and a lot of them might complain because a lot of them have experienced bans for different reasons, but really it's not just libertarians and conservatives. I doubt it really. It's probably just basically anybody that hits the Facebook algorithms or whatever status criterion that they have for banning, is based probably on their computer software modules, right? So they're basically, you're making a post and it's being flagged for some reason. Maybe somebody's reporting it, but maybe it's just got a certain combination of keywords. And so, Facebook is triggered through one mechanism or the other. And essentially just, telling you can't post anything or do anything for probably anywhere from like 3 days to maybe 24 hours, maybe 72 hours, maybe 7 days, a month. Could possibly be longer than that. Same time, this is supposed to be free market, so like Facebook as an entity does essentially have the right to do what they want with their house. I mean, if they built Facebook, I don't know exactly how fully free market, Facebook is. For instance, I think a lot of people think that companies like Facebook, Google, or Yahoo, or whatever other internet moguls, I should say, giants, are tied in like with the government or protected with the government in some way, or essentially are agencies of like the FBI, for instance. They're collecting data and making allowing people to make profiles and essentially volunteer all of our information. And that's certainly very possible. At the same time, I wouldn't say that, your information is probably already out there in many ways. Now, don't get me wrong, Facebook is much more personal. You got your images, etc. Like, I wouldn't post a bunch of real personal stuff on Facebook all the time and post everything you're doing on Facebook all the time. I mean, I use it for, having conversations, debates. I like to talk to my friends, my business contacts and everything. But at the same time, keep it within a certain realm of, sterility. You don't put everything on Facebook. I mean, what do you want the last 10 years of your entire life on Facebook? I've been a member of Facebook for a long time, but, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. I mean, it could be here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, remember what happened with MySpace? If you ever used MySpace or know anything about MySpace, it was around for a while, and then all of a sudden it just went to total crap. And I don't know what happened, but, they changed up the website design, and, Facebook started kind of picking up more users, and probably a lot of people abandoned MySpace around that time. I don't, remember exactly when that was, maybe 2010, 2008, something like that, maybe a little later. But anyway, bottom line is MySpace kind of turned into a dinosaur in many respects. Probably still has a user base. I don't know. I haven't been to their site. I don't know, what they're doing these days. But kind of did an MTV, an MTV, if you will. If they, they started out with what seemed like kind of a more organic, free system, or a system that was more user-defined, but then ended up turning into some kind of, weird kind of programming that just all of a sudden started featuring a bunch of different kind of advertising and, just changed up their whole platform. If you remember how MTV used to play, more videos all day, user-requested videos and stuff like that, and they had some different, video-based programs throughout their day, but they would be basically still playing music videos throughout the day. But then all of a sudden they started showing, the TV show, you know, they put in like I can't remember the name of that show that they started out with, like the real, whatever it was. You know, all of a sudden it's like they're talking about people's real life and they're showing them having roommate situations, etc. And all of a sudden it's like MTV's not really playing music. It's just talking about like it's just showing what idiots were doing throughout their day. The real MTV Live or whatever that was. You know, that's kind of where it seemed to go downhill the most. It was already kind of in that trajectory from my perspective. This is years ago. But, you know, MySpace did a similar thing and probably lost a lot of its original users because that's not what they came there for. So Facebook could do the same thing. I mean, you know, like I get it, they're big and everything, but really, who knows, maybe they are somehow coordinated with governments or the U.S. government. Who knows? It's hard to say exactly, but you know, the idea if it's a global government, I mean, you know, Facebook is essentially, I mean, I don't know how like it compares, but you know, you figure if half the population is on Facebook, that's like bigger than any country. I mean, you know, that's a lot of people as members of one virtual network or country, if you will. I mean, it's almost like its own nation. But, you know, the bottom line is it's virtual. And it could be here today and gone tomorrow for some reason. Like I said, if it's tied in with the governments in some way, then I'm not saying it definitively is. It'd be hard for me to pinpoint all that without, you know, maybe doing some specific research and all that. But, you know, if it is, then it's maybe some kind of way it's protected. It's not necessarily really a free market. It's able to get access to more data, you know, whatever things that it might have the leverage to do. But, you know, I'm just saying to be cautious and diversify, you know, your web presence that you might be creating. I don't think YouTube is as bad, and I don't know if they're tied in, particularly on, like, an internal level. They might have contracts, etc., like YouTube, Facebook, Google, etc. You know, I don't know how personal they are with each other, you know, I mean, obviously. So, I mean, you know, if anybody has any comments on that stuff, the relationships between some of these few giants, but really there's a lot of other web networks that, you know, pose all kinds of potential disruptions, you know, whatever, to the market. But, yeah, I mean, like the Instagrams and the other social networks, etc., they're probably half of them are owned and started and created by the same groups of people, investors, technicians, whatever. But, you know, it'd be nice to see more free market back on the web, but, like, I'm not saying it isn't. It is free in many respects, but it's kind of like Facebook, Yahoo, and YouTube took over so much. I'm not sorry, not Yahoo, but, yeah, I mean, Yahoo's been around for a while, but they're not, I don't consider them to be the most dominant player, but they might have their own purposes other than just being an independent company. You know, it's hard for me to comment on all that stuff without really getting to specifics and research, etc. But it is unfortunate that Facebook has decided to use these algorithms in order to block people, because you can't really tell why you're being blocked many times. You can't really appeal it very well. And if you do appeal it, you're probably not going to really get much of a response. So it's almost like you're in a matrix, if you will, right? Like you have all the necessities and whatever, but, you know, you're like in a prison cell, and essentially, you know, when you're shut down, you're shut down. You know, kind of like almost like a communistic type of thing, right? And if you don't play up to the community, you're executed. I mean, you know, like you can't even really leave the place because, you know, like a prison, like, you know what I mean? So, like, Facebook can kind of give people those kind of feeling elements. So a lot of people that are maybe libertarian or freedom-minded or, you know, even on the left might feel like it's, you know, confining in the respect that it's getting a lot of people on the network really good. So they got a huge following, Facebook, but at the same time, it's still just it's supposed to be just one private organization, entity. So let's not act like they're the be-all, end-all. I get it. We're connected with our friends and family and, you know, all that. And that's hard to let go of certain things, but, you know, you got to keep moving forward with your life regardless of Facebook, right? I mean, there's a time and place when we didn't have these virtual networks and all that stuff. Right? And learn to live a little bit more organically and not let this stuff take over your life. Utilize it as a medium, but a newspaper can go out of business. Any medium can go out of business. Got to recognize that and realize if we are free market minded people, we certainly got to recognize that. We can't be hypocrites and start complaining like socialist types of people might and say, hey, we're offended all the time, or we whatever it might, we're upset because a company didn't want to do business. Like, for example, Republicans who complain about having to make a cake for a gay couple, a cake shop owner, whatever, so now that the tables are maybe kind of turned in many respects for people in these different fields of, political views, then it's kind of hard for them to really say much because, it's the same thing. Now it's just another company is saying, hey, look, we don't like you. We shouldn't be forced to do business with you, to negotiate with you. We're not, there's no obligation. So in some respect, it's kind of like that. But, I know it's different in the other respect that you're building a lot of stuff on that web profile. But at the same time, it's like if you sign an agreement in terms of service, that's the agreement. Unfortunately, generally speaking, within some range of reason, but essentially that's what you're doing. So, anyway, those are just my thoughts on it. And not really like I'm coming to a lot of conclusions here. I'm just giving you, maybe a few different angles to consider. I appreciate any comments or feedback on this video and appreciate you sharing it. And if anybody does have any comments on how they're dealing with like a block on Facebook or even YouTube or bans, they talk about shadow bans, etc. I think these networks change their systems up a lot and do, not a lot. They like to keep it kind of like going. They don't want to fix what's not broken too much, but they always tweaking things, and trying to mess with some little link or some new system they're doing. So there could be any number of reasons why they might, block or ban somebody. I wouldn't necessarily assume too much, but at the same time, be a little vigilant about it. And like I said, don't get too involved with any one network to the point where you don't have a backup system. You're going to be emotionally distraught if something messes up or whatever, right? If that makes sense. So once again, Micah Carter here. I want to say thank you so much for, liking and sharing a video, or, any positive feedback obviously is welcome. I'm sure I'm going to get negative feedback and, you're an idiot, all that stuff online. That happens all the time, and sometimes it's spicy. It's kind of fun. But anyway, whatever. But I appreciate you taking time to listen. Look forward to talking to you all again soon. And please come back, like, subscribe, and plug in, and let's chat. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.